This episode is brought to you by Candy Crush Saga. The holidays can be pretty hectic, so take a little time for yourself with the ultimate holiday treat, the classic Match 3 puzzle Candy Crush Saga. And right now, you can catch the limited time event Sweet Surprise Season and win sweet daily rewards like a super rare party booster and up to 10 gold bars. Don't miss out. Play Sweet Surprise Season and Candy Crush Saga and crush it this holiday season now until January 1st. Download from the App Store, Google Play, or Windows Store for free. Terms and conditions apply.
You're now listening to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three relatively grown men binge the iconic HBO series Sex and the City. So dust off those DVDs and grab yourself a white wine or even a Cosmopolitan and settle in. Take it away, boys.
Welcome to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys are watching And Just Like That. And just like that, I'm Cory Cavin.
I'm Kevin James Doyle.
My name is Jon Sieber. And how we doing, everyone?
Doing pretty.
Well, when in Rome.
When in Rome.
When in Rome.
When in Rome. I don't know.
When in Rome what?
When in Rome, I'm doing good.
Rome, if you want to. Rome with the girls.
You know why I'm happy? Because there's not just one Sieber here. There's the whole Sieber clan.
There's
here.
three Siebers here.
There's three Siebers.
We got me.
Mm-hmm.
We got baby Mickey. But most importantly, we have a Katie.
Katie.
Hi, everyone.
What's up,
And
Katie?
the reason that we asked Katie to be on the show, this is the first time she's been live with us since we've had the baby, is she has a crazy Sex and the City related birth story that I really want her to share with the audience.
Yeah.
I told some people this story at our live show, and they're like, "That's crazy. We haven't heard that yet." So share it with everyone.
Yeah, we've been. This is the first time we've had the three of you on the pod.
Well,
and we get to hear it as a family.
Mickey's
Mickey's grabbing the mic.
He's grabbing the mic. He's ready to go. So, first off, so glad to be back. Love it.
So glad to have you here.
Happy to be back. Right before Mickey was born, I was so pregnant. Actually, I saw Cory.
Can we tell that story real quick about because I think I was the last person of our friend group to see you before you.
Well, I
gave
went
birth.
out
Is that
that
true?
night with some friends.
Okay, never mind.
I did not go out partying, but I did go to a bar.
Okay, never mind.
I had
wow.
one. But you were the last person in the house.
In the house.
That
That's
saw
true.
me. But yeah, you came in. What did you say?
So I came in and this was the day before Mickey was born, but I just knew that you were about to pop, and I came into you guys in the downstairs, and I heard someone in the kitchen, and just unannounced, very excitedly, I walked in and said, "Is there a pregnant lady in here?" And then I popped my head around the corner, and it was your mom.
She was like, no, not in here.
I was like, "Oh, sorry. Hi, good to see you, Miss Mitchell.
You,
How are
Linda."
you?"
But we do have a picture of the three of us, and oh my gosh, when I look at that picture, I'm like, dear God, I was about to pop.
Yeah.
But that night, I went out with some friends and at the bar up the street, because that was about as far as I could waddle. And then I came home and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my old standby. Haven't watched in a while. I'm going to watch Sex and the City. And I was like, I think I want to watch the episode where Miranda has her baby. I feel like that feels timely. That feels right for me. And so I laid down on the couch, and any of you that have been pregnant understand, at that point when you're laying down, you literally have to prop pillows between your knees, and it's just nothing's comfortable by that point. And so I was laying there watching the show, and we literally, I kid you not, got to the part where Miranda's water broke, and all of a sudden I thought, am I peeing myself?
Oh my God.
And then it just kept coming, and I thought, my water is breaking. Oh my gosh.
And just like that.
Just like that.
My couch was covered in amniotic fluid.
Oh
so
my
I texted
gosh.
John because he was downstairs, and I was like, I think my water just broke.
Oh.
But I think Mickey, he just knew that was very on brand for our family.
Yeah.
And he just was like, I love Sex in the City. Let me just bust out of here.
Oh my God.
And after he was born, one night, John was watching Sex in the City, and Mickey literally was twisting to try to see the TV. I think he's a Sex and the City fan. I
he
don't know
is.
who his favorite.
He's Brady.
Well, I don't know if I want him to grow up to be Brady.
Well,
after
in this new series,
This
yeah.
is I'm sorry, Mickey. You don't get to do that in our house.
He's got the same haircut as Harry.
That's true. I mean, I think he's growing up to be an Aiden, but that's just me.
Ooh.
Mickey.
You gonna work at the furniture store, bud?
Are you gonna make your own furniture? Time will only tell.
Let's
we'll
see
see.
if Mickey has anything to say. Mickey, what do you think? No.
He
Don't
grabbed
you
the
not put that in
microphone.
your mouth.
I'm gonna put my mic in his mouth. Aw. Well, he's a wonderful, beautiful, happy little baby.
Happy little boy.
He is.
Love the Mick.
He is. He is.
Is he sleeping well?
Well, now he is because we hired a sleep trainer.
Wait, how do you hire a sleep trainer? I thought that was
we-
I thought it was just like a schedule that you do.
Well, I had a schedule that wasn't working, and so we had some friends that had worked with a sleep trainer, and so we reached out to her and started working with her, and she's changed our lives.
She really got us with her price scheme because she was like, "Yeah, it's $199 a month," and we were like, "That's a little bit too much." She's like, "Or you can pay $299 for the whole year and have unlimited access to me for 24." And we were like, "Yeah, sign us up, 100%." And she gave us like a plan, and it was just the best.
So if there's any mamas out there that are struggling with sleeping,
Yeah.
let me know. I'll hook you up.
Let's put her information on the pod right now, and then we'll charge her for an ad. We'll just do that. We'll be like, we just gave you free advertising.
Do you mind me putting that on Instagram?
Oh no, that's so cute.
Kevin's taking little vids of Nick.
I mean, I thought you might take a photo, so I did put on a bra.
Oh, good.
I mean, so wait, you have her for a year. I mean, I'm clearly someone who doesn't understand baby sleep
Yeah, if you got
schedules.
sleep issues, just send them our way, and we'll
Yeah.
just mask them as if they're Mickey, and then she'll get them answered.
She'll
So
be like-
Mickey was out Thursday night and Friday night drinking till 3.
Mickey had
he has
7
a-
tequila sodas.
He has a meeting on Sunday, and he's not sleeping super well. What can he do about that?
Something started in Mickey's life about 7 years ago where if he has too many drinks, he wakes up early the next day and can't sleep past it. What's going on with that?
Mickey's got a big meeting with his boss the next day, and he's nervous about it and can't get to bed.
Katie, I have a question. What? Because we're gonna do a review of episode 3 from And Just Like That. How are you feeling about episode 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Have you watched 3?
I did. We
Okay.
watched 3 last night.
Okay.
How are you feeling about the series as like the super fan more than we were? Like you've lived with these characters forever. How are you feeling?
I feel.
And you however you feel.
I feel good. I was very afraid. I was afraid it was not going to be good. Like I was.
Yeah.
I think based on the second movie, I just was worried about the writing. The fact that I knew Natasha was going to be in an episode, I was like, what is happening? But I feel better about that now. I feel like the beginning of the first episode was a little clunky. I think as things are when they like are kind of like, we have a lot of stuff we have to get through. And they
Yeah.
really did with like COVID, with Samantha. But then I feel like I eased into it and I was like, okay, I'm loving this. And it's so good to see a show about women in that age bracket who are embracing getting older, who are talking about getting older. I kind of loved the scene with Miranda in the first episode because I just thought like, I think that's a lot of people like navigating this world that we're living in and trying really hard to be correct and understanding but then like failing so miserably in such a cringeworthy way. I kind of had seen that Peloton had made a statement about the first episode. And so I thought someone was going to they were like, we didn't know our Peloton was going to be used like that. And so I thought someone was going to have sex on the Peloton. So I was really waiting for that. And then when Big died on it, I was like, oh, that's not what I was anticipating.
Yeah.
But it's so far.
Did you cry?
I did.
I'm looking at a text message from because we all watched it together the first night, and you were here, and you and I were texting back and forth, so you could like send me
Yeah.
reads of the episode, and I was like, hey, can you send me this? And the text just says, yeah, and then there's another text that is literally right after that. It just says, big with 3 exclamation points and then tons of crying emojis. And then you were like, he waited for her to die. I'm a mess. I didn't see that coming.
I really didn't.
Yeah, neither did we.
And maybe that was foolish. I don't know. But I also got pretty choked up in the second episode when like, oh, I'm going to cry thinking about it now. When like Miranda like leaned over and like was spooning her in the bed. Just like the friendships have always been at the heart of the show. And I mean, as y'all know, I'm not a big fan. And I think he treated her like shit. I think that the fact that they ended up together isn't good. And because I think it has always kind of taught people like, just keep waiting, he'll change. And I don't think that's true. Yeah. But they didn't ask me.
What'd you think in the second episode when they're doing the montage of his life, and then that one woman leans over and she's like, am I the only one that remembers that he was a dick to her all those years?
I kind of loved that she said that. Yeah. But then also it was Susan Sheridan, and she like,
that was Susan Sheridan.
Yeah, and then she like came and had that weird
conversation with Carrie.
Which I guess was about when Carrie told her to leave her husband. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that was put in there because he was a jerk. And I think it's interesting that in the third episode that they've kind of brought up like her having these feelings again coming up of being like, you know, I'm remembering all these insecurities and moments that I didn't feel good enough. And I mean, that would be horrible to have all that come back up as you're grieving the loss of your spouse. But
do you think Bitsy Von Muffling is having sex with these gay men?
Well, I made John go back and rewind it because I was like, I'm sorry. Are they trying to pretend like that is what's his name?
Nathan Lane.
Nathan Lane. Thank you. Sorry. Mom brain is a real thing. Are they trying to pretend like that's Nathan Lane? And then obviously afterwards they addressed that he had passed away. But
I mean, obviously it's inferred that they have like an arrangement, but I just think it'd be really funny if she's just like having this wild sex and the guy's like, ooh, let me eat that pussy.
I mean, for her sake, I hope it's happening, but
I hope. I don't know. I mean, I just hope Bitsy's getting it from somewhere.
I thought that was a strange...
You hope that he's going...
Bitsy Muff Diving.
That's what I was going to say. Bitsy Von Muff Diving.
Oh my gosh, Mickey looks confused. He's like, I didn't get that joke.
Wait, what?
I don't understand it. Yeah, I thought that was like a weird cameo.
Okay. Yeah, I bet there will be more. Do we know, is Aiden in the series?
Corbett said he was.
Oh.
Wow.
So, you know.
Gosh.
You
Can't
excited?
Wait. Oh, love Aiden.
Well, well, thanks for your update on the show, on your life, and on your baby. I'm so glad that you were water broke, and now we have this wonderful, wonderful boy in the world.
I know.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm looking forward to more episodes.
Yeah.
Once we have people that we know that can babysit. Any of y'all want to babysit? Just putting it out there.
I just feel like that story needed to be told. It's so great.
Yeah.
That it happened right at the same time as Miranda.
We should talk and check in more as the series goes on to see your thoughts too.
I would love that. I have a lot of thoughts as always, and I love talking.
Well,
bye, boys.
Bye, Katie.
Let's go watch episode 3.
Yeah. Speaking of Katie, let's hear Katie's read down of this episode.
When in Rome.
When in Rome.
Cory, I got a question.
Tell me.
Do you ever feel like Carrie Bradshaw and a deadline? You're stressed. You're not sure what to do.
Oh my gosh.
You're a little bit agitated. I got a solution for you, actually.
What is it?
You know me. I'm a gamer. Angry
You're
Birds
a huge gamer.
Journey. Angry Birds.
Oh my gosh.
The game on the app. And then Journey, like the band. Don't stop believing. New Angry Birds game.
Dude, I love Angry Birds. I love pulling back the bird and shooting it and destroying things. It's so much fun. It's like, I like to imagine that I'm pulling the bird back and shooting it through the gap in Richard's teeth and just hitting him in the back of the throat. And I'm doing it all for Samantha.
All new Angry Birds Journey, full of fun puzzles, challenging levels, and delightful destruction. It's available for free in the app and Play Store. Trust me, this is a 5 Cosmo experience. Angry Birds Journey mobile puzzle game is going to bring you hours of fun.
Huge 5 Cosmo experience. Go get it for free. Google Play Store and the App Store.
Not to sound cheesy, but the queso at Pancheros is pepper-jacked, deliciously creamy and oh so dreamy, ladled onto anything you desire, or being the dip for chip after chip after chip. Queso me mucho. Pancheros, queso made fresh, burritos better built.
Episode 3. When in Rome. Upon learning of a surprising development concerning Big's ex-wife, Carrie seeks answers. Meanwhile, Charlotte worries about an unexpected revelation. And now, back to the boys.
And we're back.
And we are.
Back. We were just in Italy.
Our stomachs are hurting from Jay's stand-up routine.
Man, just on the Mount Rushmore of comedy specials, we have Killing Them Softly, Dave Chappelle.
What's the George Carlin, the 7 deadly words bit or something?
Seven words you can't say.
7 words you can't say.
And then
Chris Rock,
Bigger and Blacker.
And
Che Ramirez.
Che Diaz.
Che Diaz.
Check
Ramirez.
the box. Wow, what a fucking special.
We should caveat this by saying
we should caveat this by saying her special fucking sucks. Listen, no, this is
Wait,
what?
hang on, Kevin. Are you about to get into it?
Oh, yeah. What? Get into what?
Oh, shit. hang on. Oh, hold on.
Trigger warning.
Is that trigger warning?
We got a couple soundboards on this
Trigger
episode.
warning.
Okay, before we, this is just what
Can I say one thing I appreciate about
John,
it?
are you about to get into it?
Trigger warning.
Is in this applies to Che and Sarah Ramirez.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's their name, right?
Yeah, this is their name. Yeah, that's yeah.
I
So-
think Sarah Ramirez, I looked on Wikipedia, she goes by she, they.
And then that changed.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Now they are they.
Okay.
In 2021, they changed.
Yes.
right?
And so I'm very confused when it's she and they.
Yeah.
I don't know which
Because that's just,
one to use and can
Not
you
say her?
Can you use her?
Well,
So
also someone commented on our Patreon and said Sarah Ramirez uses they them. I think is what they commented.
and I appreciated that in their special is that I get confused by some of that stuff sometimes. I understand. I want to call someone whatever their preference is. Sure. I have no issue calling someone whatever their preference is.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes it's confusing for me, especially when it's she/they.
Yeah.
Because then what can you do about her?
Yep.
And I know we referred to Che's character and Sarah as a her, and that I appreciated that in that stand-up special. She's like, it's better to be confused than to draw a hard line, and I appreciated that.
I think that everything you just said, John, qualifies as a
Woke moment.
did you make that?
yeah.
But
This
all
is-
right,
this-
Kevin, rip it apart.
No, this is,
Release the dogs.
I think that it's very hard to execute.
Yes.
There's lots of shows like Crashing and Seinfeld, obviously, and it's even if you're a proficient stand-up comedian, it's hard to execute stand-up within a story.
Yes.
Sarah Ramirez is not a stand-up, and you can tell even in the way of you can act like it, but you're not a
Right.
stand-up. So if this character was played by Ali Wong,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, let's fucking rip apart Ali Wong because she's one of the great stand-ups working right now.
Right.
It's funny that it's the way they even went about this. It was just you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
What?
Miss Maisel.
Done very well. Although
Is that because Miss Maisel is written by stand-up?
There are stand-ups. I mean, Jen Kirkman. Kirkman writes on
and
Maisel.
She's a hilarious stand-up comedian. But what? Because obviously they
Chelsea Peretti has a great joke that she did at the Writers Guild Awards.
Yeah.
And she said, she was like, the writers of Miss Maisel are here. It's so brave of you to do a show set about stand-up set in a time when comedy wasn't funny. Maisel, I think, does a good job because there is the distance of like you're not supposed to like Sarah Ramirez's special, Che Diaz's special is supposed to be something that comes out on Netflix currently and is good, and that's not the case.
Right.
Nanette was good, but Nanette wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And I think they were trying to be like, what's the fun version of Nanette? But the reason why Nanette was good is because it was like emotionally raw in a way, and also got some of those points across.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was funny. But I would have been predisposed no matter what.
Oh, so you thought it was funny?
I thought it was funny how bad it was.
I also think like when we talked about this, I think we talked about this last episode, but that's why you see so many times in a movie or a TV show when someone is making a big dramatic speech, when someone's doing a thing that you're seeing a performance of, a lot of times that's when they do the thing where they cut to music and you just see them doing it, but you don't hear them actually doing the thing. Yeah. Because it's better in your mind to imagine a good comedy special. They could have done a better job pulling that off if you just saw the end and her just being like, good night, thank you, everyone. And then the characters later being like, she was so good, but you don't have to see them try to make her good.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, in your mind, you're just like, oh, she's a successful stand-up. Because you're right, it doesn't ever work. And it's also even the same thing when they put a real band in a TV show and have them play a song and then have the band walk off and it's the real band members and it's always awkward. They're like, hey, thanks for coming to the show. You guys want to get a drink? And it's like, it never feels, even if it's like, even if it's Tom Petty. Yeah. I mean, Tom Petty's in Almost Famous, smoking pot with them. And it only, it's him and Mitch Hedberg, I think.
Oh, wow.
No, maybe Tom Petty's not it. Anyway, my point is, it's only normal when you don't see someone trying to do the action.
Yeah.
Like, I even think in Crashing, it was awkward.
Yeah.
And that's like mostly stand-up. It was awkward and funny people.
Yes, it was awkward and funny people.
Because
not Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen.
Aubrey Plaza, when she auditioned for that, who's like hilarious and an amazing actress, but she did improv, not stand-up, and they did make her go out and do stand-up before and like had to send in tapes of her doing stand-up because like, and it was, I don't remember if hers was specifically awkward, but a lot of people's were awkward.
That's the thing that I find slightly offensive in the writing is that
oh, you're triggered?
I'm triggered. I'm triggered
as
by
a stand-up.
I think that it's funny to as an unsuccessful stand-up comedian to be successful is so like to just like take an art form and be like, we can act our way into this being good. It's just like, it's such a funny thing to do. Bobby Lee, who does the podcast with Che, is a real stand-up comedian. And it just seems like, I think a
successful podcaster. He has Tiger Belly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the smartest thing they could have done that would have rung true. And listen, write in if you guys were like, I actually liked it because she did make some good points, but that was the thing. It was like, the whole thing was a platform for her to give her good points about current culture, which that's what it was there for. Yeah. But I think a more interesting thing that would have even been more true to the spirit of Sex and the City was that if Che Diaz's character was not as successful and was like, here's this non-binary character that like has this podcast that is like really authentic and really interesting. That's more Carrie Bradshaw. And also like go to not her Netflix comedy special, go to a fucking basement bar where there's like real stuff.
Go to Three of Cups.
Yes.
Spend one episode down there.
Yeah. Have her doing open mics to prepare for a thing or even just trying to get a thing.
Yeah. Because you could, I just think that would even bring more authenticity to the character and to the spirit of New York. I've been to Netflix tapings or like comedy special tapings here. And that's like a thing you could do anywhere, but like there's comedy that happens in basements everywhere in New York, and that's like
wouldn't there have been a bunch of camera people in her face if it was a Netflix taping as well?
What if right at the end they're like, we got it? They're like, fuck, we forgot the cameras.
No, but there were no cameras.
I think, and this is obvious, what they used Jay's special 4 was a Miranda reaction. They were using it for
Yes,
Miranda
absolutely.
to get pumped up and made self-aware. And that's why I think it wasn't as funny. It was more educational and informative than anything. And Miranda, it moved her, and that's what I think it was there for.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily even meant to be. What are you queuing up?
Oh wait, so when there's a woke moment, did they call the police and have the person arrested?
That's the air raid siren coming in and telling you that there's going to be a woke moment happening.
I'm gonna
I
go
should have done the woke moment before.
I'm gonna
John
go through
said
a brief rundown of what happened. The episode starts with the Three Tops table. Great scene with Carrie, Charlotte, and Stanford. And Stanford kind of pushing against Charlotte about not being in the inner circle. Then we go to the will signing. Or is the will signing before that? No, the will signing is before the lunch.
the will sign is before
And
that. Yeah.
we realized that Natasha was left $1 million from John James Preston. Carrie then tries to like guess his password. She gets like really obsessed with why, and she wants to understand it. Meanwhile,
Wait, did she figure out the password?
I don't think so. Isn't it just Gogi 21 or Gogi 81?
Yeah, it's the dog.
But has she used it yet? Like,
I don't know if she has. Yeah.
as soon as they held up the Gogi picture, I was like, oh, that's the password.
Yeah.
Then we have Charlotte with her daughters, and one of the daughters tells Charlotte that she doesn't feel like she's ever been a girl. And Charlotte falls off the bed in classic kind of slapstick Charlotte way. We cut to Miranda and Steve kind of living their life, and they show that they're just kind of Netflix people. They just kind of sit around and watch TV, have an ice cream bar, which looked like an excellent ice cream bar. They had malt balls, they had chia seeds, they had all the good stuff.
What are chia seeds?
Steve is very confused about
What the hell is a chia seed?
Miranda.
Miranda,
I want
what's a
sprinkles on my ice cream.
What's a chia seed? You know, in Boston, they call sprinkles Jimmies. It is. They call them Jimmies. Some people say that it's not a correct term. They don't know where it came from. Here's the thing. Even if that's the
Wait,
case,
why is that not correct?
I think some people Pete Holmes talks about it on his podcast. I think some people thought it had racist origins, but I also think that people have not proved that.
Unwoke moment.
Then we cut to Anthony's business, the sourdough, hot guy sourdough delivery.
Yeah.
And he's with Charlotte and Rose, and Charlotte confides in Anthony that Rose doesn't identify as a girl. And Anthony kind of takes the traditional route and is like, when she was sick, she thought she was a dog. And Charlotte's like, yeah, I laid out water for her. And he was like, she'll grow out of this phase. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Then Carrie goes to Natasha's office and sits in front of a comically large painting. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
It felt like that scene in Royal Tenenbaums.
It was the big sheep on the big sheep painting.
Like it was a very Wes Anderson
Yeah, it was.
style.
That was pretty funny. Well, because she works for a cashmere place, right? And so that's why it was that big thing. Yeah.
Carrie has a great scene where she's talking to. There's like some hijinks that happen with Natasha. She's like, I feel like I always felt with Big I wasn't enough, and now I still feel like I was never enough. And then she accidentally busts in her walking journey on Natasha taking a piss in the Upper West Side.
Taking a D in Panera.
And then they do their apologies with each other, which is pretty. We'll talk about that. And then we have Che's special, and it ends with Miranda and Che shotgunning some weed with each other, and Carrie, and just like that, I walked myself home.
Yeah.
I'd like to start with Harry. I'd like to start with his piss stream.
Okay.
It's a strong stream.
Strong stream.
I thought that when I was like, what the fuck? It's so sad. And then when he mentions it, I'm like, I'm so glad they didn't just
Ignore it?
Yeah. Well, that was not just the sound. I was like, this is like too loud.
He says a lot of men my age can't pull off a stream like this. Count your blessings.
Count your blessings.
Does coffee affect your stream? How do I have that strong of a stream when I'm his age? I
thought you were talking about right now.
Well, I don't know. I just wonder what you need to do to retain.
Can we get a stream doctor up in here?
Yeah, I think it's called a urologist, right?
I just like to go stream doctor.
Let's get a stream trainer. You get a sleep trainer. Let's get a stream trainer. They train your stream to be better. Yeah, I mean, he did have it reminded me, the Adam Sandler thing on the early Adam Sandler album, The Longest Pee?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? It was kind of like The Longest Pee, I feel like.
He also brings up a good point where Charlotte's like, Harry, I'm in the bathroom. I'm talking on the phone. And he's like, yeah, it's the bathroom.
I got the right of way.
I'm at Panera now and I have to go. What do you want me to do?
I'm kind of changing my tune on, I think in the first episode, I was like, I don't know, Charlotte and Harry's life seems kind of boring. I think they're the best grounding of the show right now. I feel like when he was peeing behind her, I knew it was set up for comedy, but I was like, this makes total sense. They've been married for 20 years now.
Yeah.
Of course he's going to walk in and pee.
Yeah.
And then, she's going to say something about it, but he's like, you're in the bathroom.
Yeah,
it's
you're
the
talking
morning.
to Carrie while I'm on the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's so here are the four different storylines we have to explore. I guess we have Miranda, Steve, we have Che, which we've kind of talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
We have the Carrie hunting down Natasha, and we have Charlotte and her daughter.
With Che, we also need to revisit it to talk about Miranda. We talked about Che special. We need to talk more about Miranda and Che.
Sure, let's talk Miranda.
Okay.
Miranda.
Hey, Miranda.
She's clearly going through a midlife crisis.
The alcohol is a problem, which was called by a lot of people.
A lot of people saw that.
Yeah. I guess is.
You mean a lot of people saw that in the first episode?
A lot of people predicted that. I had a friend text me being like, I think Miranda's going to have an alcohol problem. When does, in your experience, I'm sure there's a scientific thing we could look up, but when does alcohol become a problem for someone?
I from friends that I know who are sober, some of them just don't drink, some are in the program.
Yeah.
They have said when it becomes something you can't control, when you can't stop. Because I have definitely talked to people and been like, it's been it's like, oh, it's holiday party season or whatever, whatever. And they're like, okay, well, if I had a friend who's in the program and stuff, and he was like, you were able to pull back and be like, I think I'm good. I think there is something that what people call a dry drunk, when someone's just like, I haven't had a drink in 10 years. And then they just relapse hard. And I think that's part of what AA is talking about.
Isn't a dry drunk someone who they get sober, but they never dealt with
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They never dealt with what?
They never dealt with the underlying feelings that drove them to substance abuse. But
got it.
Yeah, I think. But from what I've heard from people, it's when you do not have control over it anymore.
Because Sex and the City dealt with alcoholism. There was the guy that Carrie saw who was
who made him relapse.
She made him relapse. And although Miranda went to the bar before school and had a drink before the funeral, it seems like it hasn't been impacting her life yet.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I find interesting, because seeing someone drink all the time like that, there can be signs of that, but I do wonder what it would be like to, and I would hope this happens, because I do think alcoholism and having a drinking problem and stuff is more than just like, can I have a shot? I'm going to do a speech. Mm-hmm. That's and I think it would be really weird. You don't really see Miranda if you saw her day drinking at home and yelling at Brady, you'd be like, fuck.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's where I wonder where they'll go with it. But she definitely has it. I mean, Charlotte is the one that is I think she has a problem. And Carrie's more in her own world, right? Of
Carrie's
just being
Carrie doesn't have time to worry about
other
Miranda's
humans.
drinking problem. She's
her husband died.
Her husband died.
Her
husband died, and she's sleuthing around New York.
Her husband died. She's
she's
the
being a
fucking
Pink Panther.
Carrie San Diego over here.
Yeah. Carrie San Diego.
Where in the world is
Carrie San Diego?
They dressed very similarly, right? Big hats, flowers.
Yeah,
big hats,
flowers,
big trench
jackets. Yeah, I do. Yeah, but I think
Carmen San Diego was so hot.
She was.
She was hot.
That's
part of her
not a
hotness
novel
was
thought.
part of her hotness was her mystery, though.
She was a criminal, right?
Yeah, she was.
But I
That
think there's
even
a kid-
makes her even hotter.
There's a kid show
Exactly.
now. There's a kid show now where Carmen Sandiego was like misunderstood. She was trying to stop the crimes the whole time.
Oh, shut up! Don't fucking take her hotness.
Don't
away
make her
from me.
be. Don't make her be
I
Batman.
like a bad girl.
Uh-oh.
I want a bad girl
Uh-oh,
who does
Kevin.
crimes.
Looks like Carmen Sandiego got you triggered.
Oh, you're gonna take Carmen Sandiego from me?
Trigger warning.
Like how we are not a successful podcast.
No.
But like I know successful podcasts, and they don't have like a room of 3 producers behind a glass wall. Like
I
that
know.
recording
You made
the-
a good point when we were talking about it the other
so
night.
funny.
Where it's like that's a Sirius XM show.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a podcast.
Yeah.
And we know like there are comedians in New York who have Sirius XM shows, and they are like, "Oh yeah, I do a show on XM." They're not like my podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they probably also do a podcast, and they call that a podcast.
Yeah.
We're sitting in a room in John's apartment right now.
Yeah.
Like we made our own coffee. Like it's not like a freaking. It's not like the newsroom or something like that.
It's
That's
just
like what her
there's
podcast
like
is.
4 producers,
And then the
back there.
producer's just like, "Shh, that was a very good joke.
That was a really great goof, Che.
I know.
Good job on the Carrie Sandiego. My earbuds right now, they're just like, that was good reference. Are there other criminal masterminds gallivanting around the world to reference?
Hey, Kevin, maybe don't mention that you took a shit in Panera again, okay? Let's
They're
do that.
That was
Sponsored
the
this
other
month.
podcast we did.
Oh,
If you wanna get on our Patreon and hear the story about how before Candace Bushnell's one-woman show, I went
right.
and took a shit at Panera.
I forgot about that. That's not on
was a
this
different-
one.
that was a different
different- That's
podcast.
usually yeah. Wow.
That's what you're missing out on our
On
Patreon.
Hey, listen, go to the Patreon and hear about that.
Well,
Wait, well, you're talking about Miranda drinking.
Miranda drinking is it's kind of the interesting part about it is that she's having a multifaceted midlife crisis that involves her family, her love life, her job, and her drinking. Go ahead.
You called it. You said Miranda was going to be the one that cheats.
Yeah.
Because you said
Did you
she's
say
the
that
only-
before
she's
the
only-
series started?
Miranda's the only one who hasn't cheated yet.
Yeah, that's true.
right to the side of her pretty little phone and 4-wheel drive before she cheats. Carrie Underwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe next time.
Next time she'll.
There's a stand-up bit about like how like young impressionable girls should not be listening to that song. Like the last thing you want to do is go to like your drunk hick boyfriend's house and destroy his car.
Yeah, that is true.
Just like Bill Burr.
sees a text message on there and then just goes and bashes into the
Yeah.
entire car and you go to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I did call it. I also, I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard because I also,
You also
gave a
called Miranda.
100% guarantee that
Miranda.
Kim Cattrall would be in this episode.
I thought too, and there's a ton of Samantha talk. Wait, I want to say one thing about Miranda real quick. As we were talking about, like, I don't know where the alcohol stuff will go. I sort of wonder if they're gonna have weed be her savior. I don't know, but
What do you mean by that? Like
well,
she's gonna.
I mean, she has had, so her and Che had that one thing.
I know people that do that stop drinking and smoke
Sure,
weed
yeah.
and live much healthier lives.
Yeah,
You know?
totally. I mean, I think that her and Che had that one thing, and I think that will qualify as a
Toke moment.
Toke moment.
toke.
Toke moment.
Oh my gosh.
The best part is like for those of you who are imagining how we record our podcast, there's no producer. That's just Cory holding up his phone.
Yes.
To his red microphone.
Using voice memos.
Yeah.
Using voice
That's not our
memos on-
producer saying, well, that's really good.
Yeah, exactly.
Good move.
But I do think that there's a thing where it'll be. I think there's got to be some sort of intervention. They keep teasing it so hard.
Well, that first episode with on the Peloton is when Mr. Big had his croak moment.
Oh gosh, I wish that
Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit.
dude. Listen. There's a folder on my computer now called soundboard, and so that's where all these are going. And we're gonna build a full soundboard. We only got 3 today.
Yeah, we'll have more. This is what is
is
it?
the-
What's our podcast called? X and Y and everything in between or something?
Something like that.
yeah, check the
that
box.
sounds like a very catchy title. X and Y and everything in between. It's
Yeah.
a long ass title.
Let's talk about. Did you have
The
something
thing I
else
was gonna say
Miranda?
about Miranda is like I think it's interesting that she is in midlife crisis mode, clearly, and she's using alcohol and hiding it.
Yeah.
I heard a very wise person one time, a therapist, say every addiction is an aberrant way of getting a legitimate need met. And so Miranda is like using drinking, which would make sense because Steve's like checked out and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if she keeps drinking after, if anything happens with her and Che, because it's almost like, will this like fix her?
Yeah.
Fix the malaise that's happening in her life. Which I don't know. I think that they're really setting up Miranda. I just feel like they're making her just look super naive, though. Like,
Yes.
I know that
Yes.
she needs something in her life because, like, you know, when you get to middle age, you have an older kid, you've been married for forever. Like, I get that, you know, real midlife crises are real, but they're just like her just being like, oh my gosh, Che just blew my mind, and then being like,
Yeah.
okay, you can shotgun into my mouth. Like, so there's so many things that it's like, yes, there's realism there, but they're
Even when she went like, to
she's
the
being
door-
very Charlotte.
When she
I
went
feel
to
like.
the doorman, and she like held up her arm and then like held up the other arm, I just was
Yeah.
like, that doesn't feel Miranda to me.
It's a little too like out of it, a little
Yeah.
too waka waka.
Yeah, I think like that's the thing with Miranda that is a little frustrating right now. It's like you can have all that stuff and still retain your strength. Like I just think her going back to college, like she could be doing this all while being a high-powered lawyer, or getting her firm off the ground and bringing other people into it, or combining with another firm. But it's like that on top of her just like only experiencing like crisis and learning moments is just not necessarily true to Miranda, I guess.
Let's talk about Carrie,
Okay.
Yeah.
because this episode spent the most time, I think, with Carrie walking around the city. There was a funny line she said, like, did you know that hundreds of people wake up at 6 a.m. and go running?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone has a dog.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun to see her in different parts of the city. She was up in the Upper West Side. She was in Central Park. I feel like she probably would have walked the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
If you're like on a spirit walk,
Yeah.
you're definitely gonna walk over the Brooklyn Bridge at least once.
Yeah.
You know, the saddest part when something like really tragic happens, I think the saddest thing when someone dies, especially, or a breakup or something, whenever you have those like moments where if you keep on doing something, you're distracted and then you stop and you're like, oh yeah, that person's still dead. Or like, oh, that relationship's over.
This isn't gonna fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you need like, you'll like go out to dinner and like dinner's great with like 3 people, and then everyone goes home and hugs you and like, this was a great night, and then you're back to being by yourself.
Yeah.
Like I totally related to
Which is how the episode ended. She can't be in her apartment anymore. She goes back. She needs some change.
yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, which that was a powerful I don't know. That was one of the better parts of this episode, her walking back to being like, oh yeah, the old house that we know and love. But it wasn't just like, I want to see what the old place is like. It's like she needed to go back to it.
What about let's talk about her and Natasha stuff. I mean, it was definitely Carrie sleuthing around, like you said. I do think it's a very shocking thing to find out at your will settlement that this woman that you know has, it seems like from what Natasha told Carrie, like we haven't spoken since then. I know that seems like that's at least been out of their life for 15 years or more, and then to just be like, she's getting $1 million. Like
Right.
that is like
Which
ridiculous.
also shows where they are socioeconomically. Where I mean, and we know this, but where Charlotte's like, it's not even like after tax, it's only $450,000. It's not that much. Like kind of trying to reduce how much money that actually is.
Yeah.
But that would be insanely shocking to go through.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then she was like, as Carrie Bradshaw, she was like, why is this happening?
Yeah,
Like,
which
how
is
did
a
this
valid
happen?
question.
Yeah.
I'm going to go investigate. And then the rest of the episode was this. Let's find out where Natasha works.
My
name's Professor Clouseau Bradshaw.
Here's an unusually large painting. Here's a vacant bathroom door.
Oh, really? She's in Italy, you say? Then who the fuck is in that window? Oh, shit, she's looking at me. Ah! You know how great it would be is if... should I keep it? Right
Yeah,
now?
just keep it going.
What would be really great is if she got caught looking in the window.
Dude, this saxophone so slaps, man.
So good. What would be so great is if she sees her, and then they cut away and they go around the corner, and then they come back with the Sex and the City 2 burkas on. They're just like,
That's
did
hilarious.
not learn their lesson at all. They're just like,
come on, gals.
yeah. They went back to the original apartment. You know, we had Bitsy Von Muffling,
Oh
and we're
my
doing a reference
gosh.
to the burkas in Sex and the City 2.
Oh my
Oh, jeez.
I thought the actual conversation with Natasha was played pretty well. I think the Natasha character is just like that poor downtrodden woman. You know, it's just like she's got to just be like, will you stop digging this grave up for me?
Yeah.
Like, stop finding me. And she was actually very gracious. And I will say, like, it was played pretty Carrie. You know,
Yeah.
Carrie's like, that was an actual like coincidence when she
Yeah.
found her in the
Yeah,
bathroom. But I mean, I will say Carrie apologizing again, I think that's pretty real. I think like you're like, I haven't seen this person in 20 years. Maybe you're better off, you know, maybe that was more, it was definitely more for Carrie, but to just have a little closure to say, also for that, I am sorry. And then it was very big of Natasha to be like, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did think, as wacky as the storyline got, it actually ended with, I thought it was like a powerful moment in the series so far.
I thought it was
like,
too.
man, both these people were married to this, and also it's kind of interesting to not just, they've done a good job at the funeral with, like, he was an asshole to this person, but then even in this, it's like, wow, did I know this person? I did, but they're always a mystery. Like,
Yeah.
I do think that's kind of a brave writing choice rather than be like, we all know Mr. Big. We love some of you
Yeah.
don't. Like, to have a character die and then something like this happen and you'd be pissed and you can't get the resolve. Like,
Yeah.
that's interesting writing.
What'd you think of the lawyer who was like on the phone in an argument with his wife?
Was
Like,
that
what
just was I couldn't tell if that was old school Sex and the City hijinks or if that was like supposed to be like a Miranda thing, that it's like Miranda is a better lawyer than him, and then Big's assistant was like, Miranda, can you take a look at this?
That's what's so funny. I'm not trying to keep on going back. We can just say, but it's like moments like that it's like, what the hell is Miranda doing at school to learn about human rights? You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
she reads that, then she's just like, looks around and there's a bunch of 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's like, why do people do that? I'll get online and I'll look, but I'm like, why? What are you learning about human rights? Like, I know that I'm not saying that there's not stuff that she can learn,
Right.
but like when she's such a proficient lawyer, then you're like, it pulls the veil back that you're
Do
like,
we know
do
what
you
kind
do?
of lawyer she is?
She's a corporate lawyer, I believe.
Okay.
I thought she was tort reform.
Maybe.
I'm just kidding.
But I mean, that's
we just said that.
that's
Yeah,
just
corporate
corporate
law.
law.
Yeah, corporate law. Yeah,
that's tortlet.
What about Charlotte
Tortellini.
and Rose, who now is telling Charlotte she doesn't
She's never felt like a girl.
never felt like a girl before and doesn't want Charlotte to call her a girl anymore. And then what do you think about Anthony's response? I think it's sorry. I asked you a question and I answered it. I'm gonna let you guys talk.
I thought
Joke moment.
Go ahead.
Trigger warning.
I think that the way that they brought up, as has been in the series, I thought the way that they got into that conversation, it felt like a thing that they were like, well, we have to address gender questioning at some point. And so we are going to have one of the kids talk about it. It felt to me a little clunky the way they got into it. I think it is it makes sense that it's one of Charlotte's kids.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny when she looked over at Lily and was like, Lily, you don't feel like a girl, right? And she's got on like friggin' pink headphones. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, I do think I thought Anthony's response was really good because it felt more real. I was like, I when he was about to talk, I was like, I don't want this to be Anthony educating Charlotte on well, Charlotte, this is what gender is. Like I didn't want another Che Diaz stand-up special to happen then. I thought it's very on brand for, I think Anthony's character would answer that way.
Exactly.
Whether you agree with his assessment or not.
Right.
I thought it was an actual real
Exactly.
thing. And so I thought that was handled well in the case of the show. And then it allows us to play it out and see what actually happens with Rose. But I think that's what I thought that was actual real moment.
Yeah, and I think if you look at like what Che is doing and now what this storyline is doing, they're kind of trying to accomplish the same thing.
Yeah.
And one of them feels really real and the other one feels very forced.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciated the story that is happening with Charlotte and Anthony because when I first heard Rose say that and then saw Anthony and Charlotte be like, can we go step outside again? I was like, oh, here we go. We're going to get educated as a viewer again. Right. And then to have him respond that way, it was like, oh, yeah. Now this is actually an interesting story rather than just like you said.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right because I think obviously you don't need to like good characters come from reality. And that's where the Che Diaz thing is like, I don't see this person being real. And I know lots of older gay men that are just like salty old queens that are just like, I don't know. We had men and women and I was out sucking dicks.
Yeah.
Like I've literally talked to older gay men that are just like, I don't get the, like, I hear more gay men just be like LGBT. What are all the things? You know, and being confused by those things. So that's where I thought that was really cool. And it's so true to Anthony. And he's always been like kind of the politically incorrect character, even on the old show. That's like, I say whatever I want. I'm kind of doing my own thing. He would have this business that it's like, I could imagine this business like getting in trouble for sexually harassing people that goes under. He's like, what? I didn't see the problem.
Yeah,
you know?
He's absolutely just like objectifying young hot gay men.
And even in the first episode when he's like, yeah, that's Black Charlotte. It's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I was like, that is probably true to Anthony. And I'm sure if you're Michael Patrick King and some of the other guys, they're older gay men. Like they grew up through New York in the 80s and 90s. So it's like, I do feel like that's probably the strength of being like, trust me, this is the way this person would talk.
Yeah.
And you could feel that.
Yeah. I feel like that.
Woke moment.
There's a little alarm clock at the end now. Telling you to wake up. Hey,
Wake up. Oh,
wake up. Wake up. That's what Michael Patrick King is like.
I hope there's a lot of people that like stopped listening to the pod maybe around season 3 and are coming back to check us out and just like that. And like, these guys are just a soundboard podcast now.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
That is exactly what we are.
That's right.
All right. Who else do we got to do? Samantha.
There's a lot.
100% going to be in this episode.
You know, though, there was so much Samantha talk.
Was there in this?
Yeah, they say it at the beginning. There's like more Samantha talk at the beginning, and there's in the little trailer that they did before this episode. There's like a whole little Samantha section, and it shows Carrie reading the text to her. But then there was some Samantha talk at the beginning of this. I'm trying to remember exactly what they said.
Well, what we can talk about also, and I think this is where they do the Samantha talk, is Charlotte being threatened by Stanford in the inner circle.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is where I think they talk about Samantha.
Yes. And I think that like that was another thing that was one of the truest things on the show, that it's like, you know, we always have to analyze this with like the writing and the truthfulness. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of in this meta thing because it is a meta show and everything. But I was like, that makes sense. And looking back at the history, I could totally see how that would be real.
Yeah.
And also being like, it was great for it to be like a 3 top's a 4 top. I worked at a restaurant, and then
that was
it's
great.
perfect that he's wrong, because I think everyone was on his side that it's like, yeah, you can't have a 3 top, like it's just a 4 top,
Right.
and then he was totally right and just got slammed. Like I thought that was
that was
clever.
really funny when he kept on getting slammed.
Yeah, and I don't know when R.I.P. Willie Garson. I wonder if they were done filming, or if he missed anything, because I feel like that was a moment to be like, here's the 4.
Yeah.
Like that was the little loose end to it. He stood up for himself, which was always good to see Stanford do. And then he does kind of fill that void because he is like kind of salty and kind of like has like the good one-liners and everything. But I just wonder if, I don't know when he passed away in regards to when the show is.
Have they dedicated an episode to that? Or they'll probably dedicate at the end of the season.
Probably maybe dedicated.
We didn't see anything with that yet. It's so sad.
It
It's really
is
sad.
really,
to see him
really
on there.
sad.
Yeah. It's sad seeing him because he's so, I don't know, such just like a great character.
Yeah.
It's like those people become your friends when you watch it. And for him, he was like, he played one of the great best friends in modern TV history.
Yeah.
You know? So
Totally.
It's just in our podcast with him, he was just super nice. Great hang.
One thing that I thought was really cool that they, I think Kristen Davis put up a picture that his son went to the premiere with them.
That's cool.
And there's like pictures of this son there, and they were like the fact that his son like flew out and stuff. It's just it's really cool that they're like family like that.
Is there anything that we didn't cover?
I'm trying to think. Like it ends with her going to her apartment, so we got that.
Do you think the rest of the? All right, here's a question. Do you think we're gonna get the classic Carrie in the window of her apartment with her laptop?
Yeah.
I couldn't help but wonder at some point.
Yeah. At least the laptop thing. I don't know if we'll get in. I couldn't help but wonder.
I think we will.
You think we will? Yeah.
I wonder.
Does Sex and the City have that trademarked and they can't use it in this show?
Well,
Yeah,
it's
they
the
can.
same.
It's HBO.
It's HBO, and it's the same showrunner. So I think that they would.
Yeah.
I think they would be able to use it.
I think they're well,
They might be different legal entities, though. I mean, I don't know.
We
How
should
about-
ask. We should
this
ask
is-
Miranda.
This is what I
she's a
want to
lawyer.
know. Like, what story is being told? Because she's going to start dating, but I do think that there's kind of a story being told right now that she's lost some of her identity as a writer and as a sex writer.
Yeah.
And is she going to go back and be like, finally, I think they're building up, and they're building up towards Carrie is off kilter. And I think she's going to kind of come back to re-origin story her, like, I found my voice as a writer again. Because, and that's kind of a defense of like, it's okay that the podcast is a little awkward. It's okay that the stand-up is a little awkward because these things aren't Carrie. This is someone else's life. And I feel like they're building towards her
So I have a
writing
question.
another book.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is she going to move out to like Sag Harbor, or is she going to move away from the city?
I think that she's staying in her old apartment.
Okay, because that was what, if you haven't seen it yet, that's what happens with Candace Bushnell's story.
Yeah.
And Candace is modeled after Carrie Bradshaw
Carrie's
was
modeled after Candace.
was Candace alter ego.
Yeah.
CB.
CB.
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown. Caffeine Baker. I don't know what that is. Do you think? And Candace moved out to Sag Harbor, wrote her "Is There Still Sex in the City" book.
Yep. All
and
her
kinda
friends moved out
Talks
there.
about how all of her friends moved out of the city as well. So
Yeah, that was their next
something
chapter.
I thought about.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing about that too is I think that her and Big, I think going out to the Hamptons would maybe remind her too much of her and Big, because she was going to go out there with him.
Did they have was it implied that they had a place out there, or they're
Seemed
just
like they
renting a
did.
place out there? Okay.
I mean, this made me. I didn't even. This kind of blew by me because I'm used to watching it. But you're right. When they did the will signing, like she has a ton of money.
She's got hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
And and I think that I don't think that she's doing her Sirius XM podcast for the paycheck because she needs it. I think it's just because she has to be who she is. But
Right.
the fact that Big was just throwing out tons of money to tons of charities and then was going to throw a mill to his ex-wife, and it didn't seem to bother her financially.
Yeah.
It was more the
gesture.
the gesture that, which is fine that she has that much money. He's a big finance guy, so it makes sense.
But what's she do in season 2? She goes to write she goes, what's her career story there?
In the next season after
In the second movie. Because in the first one they get married.
right.
And
Then they have the marriage problems where he
yeah.
wants to go stay in her apartment one day a week.
Yeah.
Is she still writing the column in the second movie?
No, that's where I'm like, the thing that's missing is like the fashion is there. I mean, I do think some of the fashion is like a little much at times. Like it
Sure.
almost, even as someone who doesn't have a big eye, I'm like, I don't see people dressing like this anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when they were trailing Natasha.
Yeah.
And they're like outside of her office and they just they were like dressed to the nines.
Yes.
And it's almost like weird, like Carrie's not always just dressed in high heels. I guess
Carrie would
shoe
be
thing was
wearing
cool.
she'd be wearing Lululemon pants 90% of the time if this were accurate.
Yes. In modern New York.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I don't know if we talked about this off the pod, but I listened to the Succession podcast and they talk about how they have a wealth consultant. And they were like, one of the things that like really rich, like you see this on Succession, they're like, you're not blown away by like, oh, they're at this place. Cause they were like, there's a lot of wealthy people that a lot of the places they go to are not as flashy because they do go to nice restaurants, but like they are very specific about the places they go to, the places they are. And they were like, some of it seems kind of nondescript on Succession because people that are in that level of wealth, it's not like they're concerned of
they
a
don't wanna
different
be
kind of
seen.
optics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but also Patricia Field isn't doing this season.
Right.
And there's like, her style is like informed by punk rock and this certain downtown aesthetic that is not present in any of their outfits so far. And it's definitely more like Charlotte Roos, Michael Corsi. I don't know. There's these certain names. What's the one that Cynthia Rowley? Like it seems like Cynthia Rowley type stuff, but it seems like everyone's dressing like Charlotte, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like they're all always at like a dinner party in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's just like, I don't know.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just think, I wonder if Patricia Field not being a part of it is informed by that because she's,
Yeah. There is a lot of shoe focus, because we got the Carrie wedding shoes when Big died. And then we also have all her walking around. They're like, you walked around in those? And she's like, these are my sneakers.
Yeah.
And
I thought that was cool because that was that was a fun reference to shoes that wasn't just like, I'm going to buy shoes. It was like, Carrie Bradshaw walks around in heels, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Big question for y'all. This could be one of our ending questions. There have been critiques online about the lack of sex in new Sex in the City, and Steve and Miranda are talking about they haven't.
But they're not checking out Brady.
I was going to say, some of the things have been like the only sex is Miranda's son.
Yeah,
and it's like, I mean, you basically kind of have that, and you had big
jerking off,
which I guess he did the day before he died. But like
the day he died, right?
The day he died. Remember, the national song, "The Day I Die." Yeah. The day I die, I'm jerking off. I will jack off. But
I'm doing Peloton with Allegra.
But
jerking off.
Big titties. She kind of looked like a telenovela star, didn't she? The actual Peloton instructor, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I guess my question is, do you think that's going to change or is that a comment on later life? Because like Miranda was like, me and Steve haven't had sex in years.
Yeah.
Harry and Charlotte there's never a chance to talk about it. They're in family life.
They're in the bathroom pissing next to each other.
Exactly. He's a piss daddy.
He is a piss daddy.
And then obviously Carrie is probably going to start dating. I think I know who she's going to date. Do you guys know?
Aiden?
Nope. Podcast producer. The dude who the silver the salt and pepper dude who leads in. He's like, good joke, Carrie.
Ooh.
Okay.
I think that there were some.
I think she's gonna date the lawyer who's having problems with his.
Who's just a total bummer.
Yeah.
I think that, this is an argument to like, same with Arrested Development, same with like lots of things that it's like, if you bring something back, you're gonna lose something. It's like, well, guess what? People like fucking more when they're younger, or
Right.
we like talking about young people fucking more than
Right.
old people. Now that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be represented, but it's like the whole conversation about it. It's like it is realistic.
Yeah.
That when Miranda was single, she was sleeping around, and some guy's like, "You need to lick my ass."
Yeah. Also,
and it'd be so I do think they're going to get into like some vibrators, some lesbian stuff.
Also, when you take Samantha out of the equation, you lose 75% of the sex.
That's true. Yeah.
I think Carrie will have like, I haven't hooked up in a person. I have a one night stand and be like,
Yeah.
I think Rich Stein's coming back. Hot off
dude.
the West Fourth Courts.
Dude, Rich Stein's still
hasn't even taken a shower. He's just sweating. He's like, let's go.
I would love it if there's no way if Skipper came back.
I would love it.
Could you imagine?
That'd be amazing.
I love Ben Weber.
I do too.
Yeah. Well, we got to do our Cosmo rating for this episode.
All right.
Trigger warning.
I give this.
Oh shoot! I gotta get mine.
2.5.
I give it 2.5.
Oh, I give it 3.25. This
Ooh.
is a new Cory. I'm going higher than everyone.
Yeah.
I'll defend mine first. But that was totally instinctual when you were like, "I'll give mine." I was like, "Shoot, I gotta pick a number." But that is decidedly lower than the other episodes.
Yeah.
I think there were good moments in it. Like I thought I thought the Natasha moment was great. I thought it was very real. I thought the Anthony moment was real. There were some redeeming things, but also there's a lot of things about it. And also, listen, I will talk about this another time, but Che Diaz lighting up a joint in a New York bar
every time
at like 10:30 at night. It's like that doesn't happen.
That
Like,
doesn't happen.
People smoke inside at 4 a.m. in New York bars after it closes down.
Yeah.
And people are definitely going to smoke a joint on the street or take it out of a vape pen. No one is lighting up
No
a full
one.
joint and blowing it into someone's mouth at 10:30 at night at Webster Hall. It never happened.
Oh, was that Webster Hall?
That was at Webster Hall. Yeah.
I love that Che Diaz is
That's
just
what I thought.
like the only time we're ever represented non-binary people in media. There's one of us and we're always sad. And then it's like, finally there's a representation of a happy non-binary person who acts completely unlike any real person.
Oh
and
my
is just
God.
and is blazed out of their mind.
It's just high out of their minds. Coke moment.
Anyway,
I mean, it's like, it's so funny.
y'all go ahead.
No, it was 2.5. It was fine. It was like not my favorite episode. I'm excited. I think it's starting we're starting the conflict though.
Yes.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
see what happens
We're laying
with
some
Miranda.
ground.
We're gonna see what happens with Charlotte. Like Carrie kind of has some resolution with Big, and I think she can move on. So I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. And I think the next episode's gonna be excellent.
Yeah, I think there's some cool wheels in motion. And also, I hope that our podcast talking about it, like I'm having as much fun or more fun watching this than it's like when we watch some of the worst episodes, maybe in like season 5, it's still fun to engage and like use your mind to be like, why don't I like this? Do I like this? And why? And so even though this was not my favorite episode, and I think there's like a lot of frustrating things, it is pretty fascinating feeling to be like, oh, I have to give my opinion on this, and our opinion is not informed by this like fan base before.
Yeah.
So it's been fascinating checking in with myself of being like, what is bothering me right now? And I don't know. It's I hope that it's fun to listen to our breakdown of it because we're doing our best. And I am enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, and send us questions. Send us your thoughts. Send us stuff that you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
As always, if you haven't subscribe. Leave us a comment or leave us a rating on iTunes.
Yep.
Yeah, we've
join
been
our
getting
Patreon.
we've been getting a bunch lately, and it
do all the
it
shit.
means a lot.
Do all the stuff. Check all the boxes,
Check
friends.
all the boxes. Look, someone hit us up the other day and said, do you guys still take voice memos?
Yeah,
And
leave us a
Yeah,
voice
we
memo.
fucking do.
Absolutely do. We're gonna have we're gonna do a podcast with the guy who played Destiny.
yeah.
He hit us up.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Hit us up, and then we'll do a call-in one soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, all right. Thanks, everybody.
Later, taters.
Later, taters.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory Cavin, Jon Sieber, and Kevin James Doyle. The show is produced by Jeremy L. Balon. For more information on the guys, check out their website at bradshawboys.com, on social media at The Bradshaw Boys. And if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.